Hey, welcome back, everybody. Oh, there goes my alarm for today. We're here. We're here and we're live. Welcome back to Corner Office Chats, everyone. It's Marie. We're your high performance coaches, and I hear a reverb. Can you hear it?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna go on mute. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so today, I love this topic. We are talking all about personality and, that idea, that age-old debate, is it nature versus nurture? And we're going to expand this into just human traits in general, characteristics. And we're going to start the conversation by talking about, you may have heard of these terms, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but the idea of the growth and the fixed mindset. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about nature versus nurture. There is one school of thought when it comes to personality, intelligence, right? IQ, emotional intelligence, that kind of whole realm, certain characteristics that we were just born with it. It is just who we are. And even if you kind of believe that, it's, as we know, it is shaped by our very early experiences, right? And then we carry them through and they develop into our adult tendencies and our personalities, that it is fixed. And the belief that, there are basic abilities, our intelligence, our talents, right? Those innate talents we talk about, that they're just fixed traits. And there's nothing that we can do about them. So we should pursue a path that simply caters to our strengths or our innate talents. And then there's another side of another school of thought, which is the growth mindset, and believing that these are not fixed at all. That everything, whether it is intelligence, whether it is personality, whether it is emotional intelligence, whether it is skills, talents, that they can be developed, that they can be learned, and that they can be built upon. So this is the conversation that we're having today. Maureen, do you want to see?
Yeah. No, and for those of you who are listening, whether you're listening to us live on Facebook or on our podcast, however you're listening to us, the reason why you're listening to us is you already understand that growth mindset is something that you want to take on. You want to nurture that for yourself. You know that this is where you are and you want to get to that next level. And, kudos for you that you know the value of nurturing yourself to get you there. And, before we went on air, we were talking about, like, how would you talk to a child when they first start walking? It's kind of funny. Like, when they think about, when a child starts to walk, the first thing you would say is like, oh my God, you're walking, you can do this. Yes. You don't tell them that, no, you can't walk, you messed up. This is not for you. Just stay down there. It's not how we do that. So it's being very conscious of the way that you're nurturing yourself is really important. How you would speak to your child is how you should be speaking to yourself. And that's how you start to grow your mind, to grow yourself. And not only in for yourself, but it also starts to happen outwardly in your family and community. I'm really big about this. Say this in probably every episode. We can be responsible for who we are. And when we take responsibility for that, it makes an impact in the community that you're around, in the family you're in the community you're around, the people that you lead. I had a conversation with one of my, a manager, one of the people that reports to me. And I was like, stop saying I'm sorry. Stop saying I'm sorry. And it's something that she just started to do, right? And part of stop diminishing yourself is what I'm getting at, is you're always learning. Ask the questions. If you don't know, feel okay about asking questions. If you need something repeated, just say, you can even repeat it back to them and say, I'm understanding that you want this, this, and this, or you're talking about this, this, and this. Did I catch that correctly? You can just reiterate it, right? Back to them. That's how you're going to show that you're actually trying to learn, and you don't have to feel like you're not looking good. If you don't understand something, it is your responsibility to make sure you understand it, right? So you're not doing by not asking the questions, you're not doing yourself or the other people any justice. So for those of you who are in a position, you've been a manager, now you want to take it to that next level. Really look at yourself. What has worked for you here? And what do you need to develop to get you to that next level? What do you need to develop about yourself that gets you to that next level? And start looking at, where are those people? What are those people doing that they're at that level? How can you start shifting your mindset or your personality traits or your skill set so that you can start operating at that level? You can start doing that now. So that's what we're talking about in this corner office chat today about, personality, nature versus nurture. It's very important that you're constantly looking in and then also looking at where you can start growing yourself.
Yeah. And this conversation is so fun for me because I feel like, even though probably everyone that is listening, everyone that's going to listen to this is going to be like, well, of course, like we can change things. Of course we can. Of course the growth mindset is better. But I think we're all guilty of having that fixed mindset in certain areas of our life or in certain situations that we find ourselves in. And oftentimes this comes out in, when you hear yourself say, and now that I'm saying it, you're going to catch yourself, is when you say, oh, I'm just not a numbers person. I'm just not a math person. Or I'm a procrastinator. I just am by nature. I just procrastinate all the time. Or, I'm just not a patient person, right? When we start telling ourselves that we are certain ways in certain situations, that is the example of a fixed mindset, right? Mm-hmm. It's really hard for me to lose weight, right? Because that's just a unique struggle to myself, right? Is it? Right? And then when we say that, we allow ourselves to make excuses for development. We allow ourselves to provide that excuse to, well, why bother exercising? Why bother eating healthy? My body just likes to hang on to fat, right? Mm-hmm. It's just the way I was born. Right? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying that everyone has to look a certain way, but if it is, if it's stopping you from doing something that you love, if it is not bringing joy into your life, if you're not able to do the things you want to do, and that's why you want to make the change, you've got to listen to the excuses that you're telling yourself. And oftentimes these excuses, they come out of a fixed mindset. Mm-hmm. I'm guilty of saying I'm not a creative person, and we will talk about doing graphics and things like that. I'm like, my brain just doesn't work that way. Yeah. And then I catch it, right? I say that to you all the time, and then even after I say it, I'm like, ugh, because I know it is something that I could learn. It is a skill that I could develop. But so often we just jump down into that fixed mindset, and we just stay there, and we allow ourselves to stay there because it's more comfortable, right? When something is hard, a fixed mindset or a closed mindset will be like, this isn't working. I shouldn't do it. I should do something else. Whereas a growth mindset said, ooh, this is hard. I'm not good at it. I should keep going so I get better. Yeah. And this is not just, learning Excel or, riding a bike or learning how to skate. Like we're talking about the way that we interact with other people. I'm just not a social person, but we all are social beings. Right? Mm-hmm. So what is it that you're saying to yourself that is pigeonholing you into this one idea and this one limitation that's holding you back from doing something that you really want to do? What's that thing that you say to yourself?
Ask yourself, like, do you give up easily? Do you tell yourself that you're a failure? If you're speaking to yourself that way, or if you're doing like giving up easily, think about if you want to change that mindset, if you really want to get to where it is, you have to keep trying. It's like riding a bike. You're going to fall. You are going to fail. And I'm like, my daughter, she struggled so much to riding a bike, but we kept at it. Like, don't give up. Don't give up. She would beat herself. She would come in mad, angry. And as soon as she got it, this girl was flying. We couldn't stop her from getting on that bike, right? And that's what's going to happen. One of the things that I struggled with was coming on camera, talking to the camera. It's not an easy thing. It's easier to connect with people in person, But to come on camera and to speak to all of you and not get a response, it's really daunting. But you know what? I started to get feedback, and people would tell me they wouldn't like a comment, but they would tell me, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've been seeing your posts. They're really great. They're so motivating. I'm like, then like and comment, friend. Like, so I know, but you know, and it's getting easier. Like we can get on, we can easily start talking to you all because we know you're listening. We know that you don't have to interact with us in order for us to know that you're listening, right? So it helped our mindset to keep on doing it, keep practicing. They say if you're in social media or if you're, you know, using the online platform to promote yourself, consistency is the key. See, I stumble on my words. It's a thing that I don't know what it is. Maybe I think too fast and I can't keep up with my mouth. But I could totally be like, I'm not good at speaking. And actually at one point I did say, I was like, I'm not good at speaking. I stumble on my words. So what? I stumble on my words, but I'm still getting a message across, you know? So I think a little bit faster. I have to slow down and take one step back and make sure I'm saying the right words. That's okay. I get excited. That's just who I am. When you start feeling confident in yourself and who you are and being okay with making those mistakes and failures, or if that's what you want to call it, then you start to build that confidence. And then people actually start to relate to you. They'll be like, oh, wow, if she can do this, then why couldn't I? Right? People in my workplace are like, how are you so confident when you're speaking in front of Global? I'm like, I'm just a human being. If I'm going to mess up, I mess up. I'm like, whoops, I didn't know that. I'll make sure that next time I have that information for our meeting. That's it. I don't have no fear of looking bad. Okay, there may be a little bit. And I notice it and I recognize it. And then I say, that's not where I want to be operating from. I want to be operating from moving forward. I want to show up confident. I want to show up influence. And if it's something I don't know, I'll say I don't know. That's it. That's how you start to build your confidence, is being okay with what you don't know and know that you can try again, you know? So if some of you are dealing with that, really take that on, really look at your mindset. What has you stopped? And start to nurture that mindset. Start to work on it. Make sure you have a community around you, our limitless community, the Goal Set group community that we've created. We're doing that we know that you're fully capable of doing it. And if some of you are starting to notice that since you joined our group, that things are starting to get more focused or increased productivity, you're feeling more confident about yourself, it could be because you're around the community that's having you feel that way. You may not realize it, but your mind starts to open when you listen, when you're, you know, engaging with us. Something starts to shift because the energy starts to spread. So, and when you start to shift, then people around you start to shift. So it's something I'll repeat a million times over.
Yeah. And so, you know, this whole conversation around this nature versus nurture, no matter what we're talking about.
Stumbled on her word.
we know that it's always a combination of the two. It starts, you know, that those innate qualities or those innate talents that we have, that's just a springboard to get started, right? We know then we can begin to cultivate and generate and develop and grow in any area that we want to, right? And, you know, how do we do this? Somebody's like, okay, great. We know this. We know the growth mindset is the way to go. How do I start this when I've had a fixed mindset for so long? And the answer is in your daily habits, in the little things that you are doing on a consistent basis every single day. That is what is helping to shape the skills, the personality, if that's what you want to call it, right? Those tendencies that we have, it's by what we do and what we tell ourselves. So we can get into the habit of changing our thoughts just as easily as we can get into the habit of changing our actions. And it's a combination of those two things that are going to help you to grow and cultivate a growth mindset. So focusing on those little changes, right? Because most of the time we're focused on that long-term or that end result. And when we do that, we're not cultivating the habits. We're not truly expanding our perspective or our mindset. So when we do reach that end result, oftentimes it falls flat of our expectations. right? So those are the you that are sitting there in your careers right now being like, okay, once I get that job, once I reach that level, that's when I know that I've made it. That's when I know that all this work is worth it. Then you get the job, you get the title. And guess what? You're still not happy. Not what you thought. It wasn't always cracked up to be. Why? Because your mindset is still back there. It hasn't caught up with you. So you want to start building what we call identity-based habits. Instead of saying, well, I'm a VP, right? Or I'm going to be the CEO or the COO or whatever the title that's so important to so many. What are the habits? What are the qualities or the characteristics that define the person that you're proud to be? Even if you're not exercising them as much as you should. What kind of leader are you? What kind of leader are you working to become? You can answer these questions and start putting those actions and behaviors and thoughts into practice on a daily basis. That's how we begin to develop this growth mindset. And when that happens, one of the biggest things is that the fear starts to fade away. The fear of trying something new. When we reframe what something new looks like, right? I've said to myself, I don't like not being good at something. So if I try it and I'm not good at it, sometimes I'm like, I don't really need this in my life. And I turn to the things that I am good at. And I have to remind myself that when I'm not good at anything, that's a crazy awesome opportunity for me to grow, for me to shift in a certain way. Maybe it's just something like, snowboarding, I don't know, which is incredibly hard the older you get. If any of you have ever tried it, and it's very painful when you're first getting started. But when you try it, it helps to build the identity. My identity is not to be a snowboarder. My identity for me that I'm proud of is somebody who takes risks, somebody who is adventurous, somebody who tries new things, somebody who's open to opportunity. That's a behavior that I've taken to get there, to move myself forward in that goal.
I don't know if you saw the post, Alexis, I was asking about if you could switch a week with another career, like what would that be? And I don't know if you saw some of the comments.
Yeah.
I mean, I want you to look at what you commented there in that group. It's in the Goal Set group, if you don't know, in the Facebook. So I asked, if you could switch your career for a year, for a week, which career would you switch, right? Something along the lines. So much engagement, and people got super excited. I think there was somebody who said street pharmacist, and I was like, okay, I know who you are. He was having fun with it. So, but think about, what is it about it that you are so, infatuated with? What is it about it that you're like, oh, that's what I would want to do? And really embrace that, because you can take those, you don't have to be that. Like for me, Oprah Winfrey, I don't have to be that. I can be something like that. There's something about the values or her characteristics that really inspire me, right? You can go from there and start being that now. So really look at it. What is it? Is it about the fun they bring, the dance, the feeling? What is it? Really if you're in their shoes, what would your day look like? And really hone in on the emotion part of it and who they're being, right? And then take that and start applying it now. And who knows, in the career or whatever it is that you're in now, you never know what you'll create out of that. You'll start getting excited about getting up every morning, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. But you can maybe take something from there and start applying it here. You can maybe start a hobby. If it's dancing, maybe you start a dance class. Maybe there's so many online now dance things. There's these Xbox. Okay, I don't know all this stuff anymore. Okay, sorry. I don't know game stuff, but I know there's things where you can dance along with them, or karaoke and all these things, right? All these things are so available at your fingertips. So how can you start incorporating that if you want to be a dancer, like for example? So you can start incorporating that into your life now.
Yeah. Because that's the truth of it, right? Like that's the truth bomb that we want to drop on you today, is that it's your daily actions that's going to change what you believe about yourself and the person that you're trying to become, right? It's about setting that schedule, showing up, and then being consistent and sticking to it, right? It's about building the right identity rather than worrying about that end result or that long-term goal that you're after.
Yeah.
I remember Brendan talking about this and about creating that identity as opposed to just focusing on outcomes. And it's so true. And, you know, running is one of those things that, like, people believe you're either a runner or you're not. I would like to be a runner. It's very hard for me to do it. But there was a time in my life that I did consider myself a runner. I ran 4 or 5 times a week, 7 to 10 kilometers per run. That's a runner in my books, right? And then I fell away from it, and I had kids, and I stopped running. And now I'm like, oh, I'm not a runner. It's not something, but I want to be. So when I started in the pandemic earlier, I'm like, I'm going to start running. This is what I'm going to do. And just pushing myself to run was not enough. When I started saying to myself, I am a runner. I am a runner. I'm running every day. Therefore, I am a runner. Something shifted and something clicked. And it was just that it was that tying it to your identity as opposed to just being a goal that you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And that was for me, that switch. It made it easier. Why is this so hard? I'm a runner. I just took a break. Right? So what is it that you're holding yourself back from doing? What is it that you believe you can't or shouldn't do because you weren't born with that talent? Right? I'm not saying we all have the ability to be NFL superstars or the next Einstein or whatever, but we do have the ability to grow in any category, in any area, in any situation that we want. That is not fixed. It is not fixed.
Really great. So, folks, we talked about, think about your personality. What is it that you know is ingrained in you? It's by nature. What is it that you want to nurture and grow into? So really start thinking about that. Yes, Fritz says, encourage yourselves to think out of the box. Let me put this up here. He says, one challenge is that nurture has been a passive influence during our formative years, and schooling did not change that passive tendency. And as adults, we must actively influence and nurture to encourage ourselves to think outside of the box. 100%.
Yep.
Yes.
We've been told to stay in the box, right? Our whole lives. Stay in the box. This is the box. This is what you should be doing. This is what we've all, seen been done. This is what we're supposed to do. But now the box now is blown open, after this year, especially, right? I can't have an online business. I'm not techie enough. But when you're forced to, guess what? How many people took their businesses from brick and mortar to online? Right? I'm not saying everyone was successful. It was a really, really challenging year with extenuating circumstances. But a lot of people found great success during this pandemic because they had to. Right? They had to. There was something beyond themselves that they had to push for.
Mm-hmm.
So I ask you again, what is it that you're saying to yourself you can't do because you are who you are? Because who you are is not fixed. If something inside of you wants to be something different, something better, you have that ability to make that change. It is within you. And when you start to believe that, and actually, no, just start doing it. Because your actions are going to be what shapes and changes your beliefs. Start running. Soon enough, you'll be a runner because you're running. So what is it that you want to be doing that you're not doing now? And how can you create that identity for yourself? Really great. So I want to end on one note. Yeah. If you want to explore more of what are your possibilities for yourself, give us a call. This is what we do. We love to connect with all of you and find out what it is that you're up to. And maybe touch, move, and inspire you in ways that you never even thought were possible. Possibilities are endless. That's why we call ourselves the Limitless Leaders. That's why we show up and tell you guys that you are fully capable of creating whatever it is that you want for your life. Totally, it's in your hands. So if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed,
like burnt out, you just don't even know what direction to go, give us a call. We may be able to give you some kind of breakthrough that you can start looking at life a little bit differently, whether it's in your career, professional, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's just in your personal mindset. Come talk to us. I put the link below. It's bit.ly/GSC Meet. GSC Meet, all lowercase. Book a call, 15-minute connect call, and let's get to know you. Let's see how we can touch, move, and inspire you to move to that next level. And if nothing else, if you just need that positive, motivational talk, then that's who we are. That's who we are. We'll be your cheerleaders.
Yeah. All right. And if you're thinking like, oh, what am I going to say? I don't really know them. This is going to be awkward. Know that it helps us serve you better. When we jump on those really quick calls, 10, 15 minutes, and we find out maybe what you're struggling with. Obviously, we can't solve all your problems in one 15-minute call or multiple calls, but we get to understand a little bit more about what you are struggling with, what you're challenged with, what you'd love to hear and learn more about, and we can bring that to you through this community. So if you're letting that sort of self-conscious, whatever you're creating in your mind that you don't, what am I going to talk to them about? It helps us to be able to jump on a quick call with you so that we can continue to serve you in the best possible way.
Yeah. All of these corner chats that we come up with, these topics, it's all coming from you all. Thank you for reaching out, messaging us, letting us know, what you want more information on. And we only know this because you connected with us. And so we're giving you what you need. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend, Valentine's weekend.
Yes.
And you know what? Make it more about loving yourself. In a growth mindset, it's and how you can love others. We get focused on, I'm supposed to have somebody, or this is supposed to happen for me. What things will start happening for you when you start doing for others. So do that, whether it's text a friend, call a friend, whatever it is for you, take that on for yourself this weekend. And wish you all a very happy Valentine's Day. And we'll catch you next week at Corner Office Chats. Same time, same place. Thank you, Alexis.
Thank you.